right, let's make our way up to a nice, comfortable seated position. So I'm going to sit up on some height, a block, a blanket, having some height underneath your sitting bones. Ah, that's it. Let the shoulders release down the back. Good. I've been noticing in myself lately, and actually, I mean, for the last several weeks. And when I get stressed, one of the patterns that I notice in my body, and maybe it's a similar pattern for you, is that my shoulders start to creep up like this towards my ears. And instead of just kind of letting my shoulders relax, my resting position becomes something more like this instead of this. And so I often throughout the day have to just like, consciously let that go. All right. So now we're here. I was thinking a little bit about how, we're approaching that midway point in January. And for many of us, that renewed energy, I certainly feel this way at the beginning of January. This kind of like energetic push towards something, whatever it is. For each one of us, it's something different. But there is, I find, a collective sense of newness or recommitment or renewal around January 1st, finishing something and starting something new. And we have this, energy going into that. And then at some point, that energy begins to wane. And often we find ourselves sort of back in the patterns of behavior or thinking that we were in December, which is not that long ago. And I was just thinking about this the other day and thinking about how frazzled I can get in my day to day existence when, I have a long list of things to do for my family, for my house, washing dishes, groceries, cooking dinner, laundry, all that kind of stuff, plus taking care of my kids, getting them up in the morning, getting them out the door, making sure that they feel, supported and able to take on whatever their day is going to bring them, and then also work and try to be a productive member of this society that we live in and to give something back and to be in service. And so that's a lot. When I say it out loud, I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe I put that on myself every day. And so I often find myself, if I'm not checking in throughout the day, starting to feel frazzled, starting to feel a bit overwhelmed just with the day to day. And I'm imagining I'm not the only one. And my list of stuff is probably different than your list of stuff. But I'm imagining that this might be a somewhat common experience for many of us. And so I was thinking about this and listening to my dear Judith Hanson Lasseter, who's infinitely wise, in my opinion, talk on this. And she said something that just hit home for me so much that I wanted to share with you, which was the problem is not the outside world. And this is, again, my interpretation of what she said, not her exact words. But the problem is not the outside world making us frazzled. So it's not the events that are happening in our lives that are actually making us frazzled. It's what we're telling ourselves about what's happening in the outside world that's making ourselves frazzled. And I was thinking about how this applies to my life and how, something that I find particularly frazzling is the getting out of the house in the morning. Yeah, getting my kids out the door. And often, there's a bit of a time pressure, which already feels like a lot. And then resistance from my children. And so there becomes this almost battle. And in my mind is going to this place of like, oh my God, we have to go right now. What's going to happen? I'm going to be late. You're going to be late. Let's go. And of course, when that energy comes up in me, my kids resist even more. Yeah. And so for you, it might be something different, right? It might be going into some sort of work situation or dealing with another relationship that you have. For me, as a mother of young kids, that's just, a bounty of opportunities to practice. And so it's me telling myself, we're going to be late and I'm going to be in trouble. And your father's going to get that phone call from the school saying your kids were late and all this. And I, it's the story I create about it. That's the problem. And could I either tell myself a different story or just soften a little bit, make friends with this is what's happening right now. And instead of fighting it and telling myself it has to be a certain way, just being with it as it is. And that feels, look, there's the shoulders again. That feels pretty radical in a world that, is pushing us to do more and telling us that we have to achieve and produce, and taking a step back, just giving ourselves that space to be as we are and to be with what is. So that is going to be my practice for today and maybe hopefully for the next week. And I'd love to hear from you how that lands for you. So with this in mind, let's go ahead and soften our gaze or close our eyes. And just allowing yourself to be here as you are in this moment. You could bring your hands together in front of your heart or let your hands rest on your chest or your belly, whatever feels better for you, and just noticing. Where are you in this moment? Can we hold the space for ourselves to be as we are? To be with what is without telling ourselves a story about it. And then when you're ready, let's take a single Om here all together. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling. Inhaling for Om. Exhaling, releasing your hands, softening the muscles of the face and the forehead as you let your eyes open. And we're going to begin lying on our backs. All right, if you'd like your blanket for under your head, of course, you can go ahead and take your blanket underneath your head. Bend your knees, plant your feet flat on the floor. And just take a few breaths here, in and out through the nose. Feeling the parts of your body in contact with the floor. And going into those sensations. And then let's open the feet wide and windshield wiper the legs side to side. Just make sure your arms are out of the way of your legs. Move any props out of your way. Breathing there. And then let's come back to center. Walk the feet in to hip distance. And exhale, tuck the tail, press the lower back down into the floor. And inhale, move towards a neutral spine. And we'll work through that a few times. And maybe just noticing what happens to the pelvic floor and the deep abdominals as you do this. And breathing in and out through the nose. And then find a neutral position. And in this position, let's exhale and engage pelvic floor and deep abdominals, drawing everything down and in. No movement through the torso, maintaining neutral spine. And then we're going to try to bring our chin in towards our neck, like we're giving ourselves a double chin, lengthening the back of the neck slightly. Feel the front of the neck, these deep neck flexors engage. And then you can release and then bring it in and release, and bring it in and release. Keep going. Do this about 10 more times. Just feeling that
deep neck flexor work. Good. All right. And then let's relax for a moment. We're going to do one more set. We're going to make it a little bit harder. So exhale. At the end of the exhalation, engaging pelvic floor, deep abdominals, draw everything down and in, make that double chin. And then you're going to lift the head, but only 1 millimeter off the floor. Just enough to slide a piece of paper under the head. And then release and lift and release. And it's like you're barely lifting the head off the floor. Your hair is still on the floor. If you lift even more than 1 centimeter or even more than 1 millimeter, really, you're using the wrong muscles. So it's really critical that we make this very, very small. Good. Let's do 5 more. Last one. And relax. Good. That's hard work for me. I don't know about you. All right, let's windshield wiper side to side. My head feels very heavy. All right, come back to center. Neutral spine. Exhale, pelvic floor, deep abdominals engage. We're going to float one leg to table and stay. Float the second leg to table and stay. We're going to take the hands to the left leg, right hand to left thigh, left hand on top of that. Press hands and thigh into each other. And then you can do this either with the right leg bent or straight, your choice. We're going to exhale, lower, and inhale, lift. Exhale, lower, inhale, lift. So again, leg could be straight or bent. Trying not to let anything shift in your torso. Maintain your neutral spine. Breathing in and out through your nose. Good. We're going to do 5 more like this. Last 2 here. All right, last one. And then lower that leg back down towards the floor. Straighten it out if it's not already straight. Straighten the left leg up towards the ceiling. Take your hands down by your hips, and we're going to scissor the legs back and forth. Good. 8 more like this. Last 2. Last 1. And release. Take your feet to the floor. Open them wide. Windshield wiper side to side. All right, come back to center, hip distance apart, neutral spine. Exhale, pelvic floor, deep abdominals engage. Float one leg to table, float the second leg to table. Left hand to right leg, right hand on top. Press hands and thighs into each other, either straightening the left leg or keeping the knee bent. Exhale, lower, inhale, lift. Good. We're going here. 8 more. Press that right thigh and left hand into each other. Good. Last one. And then lower that leg to the floor, straighten the right leg up, hands down by the hips, and scissor back and forth. Try not to let anything move in the torso or your lower back. Good. 5 more. Last one. And relax. Good work. Okay. Open the feet wide, windshield wiper side to side. That's pretty hard. That's pretty hard for me. All right. Back to neutral spine. Exhale, pelvic floor, deep abdominals engage, hands down by the sides. We're going to lift the arms towards the ceiling and then reach for the ceiling and then take the arms up and over the head and then snow angel them down by the sides. Ooh, push whatever props are in your way out of your way. Good. Hands to the ceiling. Reach for the ceiling, shoulder blades wrap away from the floor, up and over the head, and then snow angel back down. Good. Keep going. Reach, lift, and back down. Your hands might not reach the floor. That's okay. You're trying to do the biggest movement possible without arching into your lower back. Our deep abdominals are engaged here. Okay, 2 more. Last one. Okay, with the hands down by the hips, we're going to stay. Now we're going to snow angel up, reach for the back wall, shoulder blades move to the ears, and then swim them back down through the center, out to the sides. Reach for that back wall, swim them through center. Good, keep going like that. Good. 2 more. Last one. And relax. Good. Roll over to one side. Either resting your head on your arm or propping your head up on your hand. Stack your knees, stack your hips. Check that you have a neutral spine. Roll that top hip forwards. Exhale, pelvic floor, deep abdominals engage. And then that top knee floats up and lowers, lifts and lowers. And either staying with this or maybe hovering that top foot above the bottom foot, maybe lifting both the feet up and doing it at that higher angle. Good. Trying to pull your thigh bone towards your pelvis. Yeah, I like to put my hand here on the muscle to feel those muscle fibers engaging, and also to just check that I'm bringing that thigh bone in. Like it feels like a little pulley. You can see how my hand gets closer together. All right, we're going to do 3 more like this. All right, now lift the knee, keep it there. Lift the foot up above the knee and then touch the knee down, touch the heel down, touch the knee down, touch the heel down, and we'll just work through this a few times. Good. Breathing in and out through the nose. All right, 5 more like this. And last one. And relax, pat it out. And then let's roll over to the other side. Stack the knees, stack the hips, either resting the head on the arm or propping the head up on the hand. Check that you have neutral spine. Roll that top hip forwards. Exhale, engage pelvic floor, deep abdominals, floating the top knee up and down. Down. Good. Working through this. And breathing in and out through the nose. Either staying here, hovering the foot, or lifting both feet up, working at that higher angle. Good. Keep going. Pulling that thigh bone towards the pelvis. Maybe noticing if this is you're stronger or weaker on this side, or the 2 sides feel more or less the same. For me, this is my weaker side. Fatigues much more quickly. All right, let's do 3 more. Like, I can only do 3 more. All right, lift the knee up, lift the foot up above the knee down, heel down. So we internally rotate, externally rotate, internally rotate, externally rotate. Keep going. Breathing there in and out through the nose. All right, last 2, I feel like my feet are slowly lowering towards the floor. Relax, pat it out. Good job. All right, let's make our way up onto our hands and our knees. And if your knees are sensitive, then of course feel free to pad your knees with your blanket. And we're going to here work through some cat and cow. Exhale, tuck the tail round into the lower mid. Upper back, release the head. And then tailbone's going to lift and we roll through the spine, 1 vertebrae at a time. Open the chest. Exhale, tucking around. Inhale. Open it up. Keep working through that. Okay, let's come back towards a neutral spine and then puff up the space between the shoulders and then bring the shoulder blades together. And we'll just work through this a few times. And then let's try to circle the shoulder blades in one direction. And then let's circle the shoulder blades in the opposite direction. And then find somewhere in the middle. And exhale here, pelvic floor, deep abdominals engage. We're going to slide the right hand out in front of us, thumb points to the ceiling. Lift that arm up in line with the ear. Sweep that arm back behind you. Rotate, lift, bend the elbow, slide the hand up, back, any amount. Straighten it out. Rotate, sweep it front. Sweep it back. Rotate, lift, bend the elbow, hand up the back. Straighten it out. Rotate, sweep it front. Two more. Try not to let your head drop to the seat, to the floor. Try to keep the hand up above the elbow the whole time. One more. This is hard. This should be hard. Okay. Release. Without letting anything shift, switching sides. Left arm lifts. Sweep it back. Rotate. Bend the elbow. Rotate. Sweep it front. Good. Let's do two more. Last one. Sweep it front and release. Good job. All right, tuck the toes under, shift the body weight back, cover the knees off the floor, and then start to lift up and back to your first downward facing dog and pause. Press your hands into the floor. Shoulder blades move to the ears. Knees are bent, often more than you think they need to be. Try to draw the top of the thigh bone backs and the top of the shin bone forwards, and then you can go ahead, straighten the right leg, bend a little deeper into the left knee, pause. Breathe into whatever tension is there. And then let's switch sides. Pause and breathe. Lifting both the heels up high, bend the knees, look at the hands, step the right foot forwards, come down onto the left knee. Let's inhale, sweep the arms up. Hold the left wrist, lift it up, take it over towards the right. Firm the belly in, try to puff up those lower back ribs. Inhale as you come back to center, release the wrist, lift the arms, rotate through that left shoulder, bend the left elbow, send the left hand down the back. Hold the left elbow with the right hand, maybe resist the back of the head into the arm. And then let's go ahead, release the arms. Exhale, take the hands down to the floor or the blocks on either side of that front foot. Tuck your back toes under, straighten out your back leg, draw your thigh bones into your hip sockets. Inhale, peel the right arm up towards the ceiling. We're going to make big full circles with that right arm. Reach, 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 and rotate. Trying to make as big a circle as you can. And then switching directions. Let's take the hands down to the floor, put the blocks off to the side. Step back, downward dog. Press the hands into the floor. Inhale, come forwards to plank and pause. Taking the knees to the floor, untuck the toes. Exhale, elbows bend any amount. Inhale to straighten and exhale to hinge back. Inhale to hinge forwards. Exhale to bend. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to hinge back. And we'll work through this several times. Maintain that neutral spine as the elbows bend so we're not collapsing into the lower back. Good. Push up into that sort of the top of the push-up position and stay. Now you can either stay here in a half plank or you can shift the body weight back a little bit. So it's going to be a bit harder to be in the half plank. Staying there. Exhale, make sure pelvic floor, deep abdominals are engaged. We're going to touch right hand to left shoulder, hand down, left hand, right shoulder. We're going to try to switch side to side and notice how much the body wants to move, and we're going to try to stabilize and prevent that movement. We prevent that movement by getting more engaged through the center of the body, through the core. Good. One more on either side. And then let's bend the elbows, come all the way down onto the belly. Good. Reach the arms out over the head. Squeeze your butt muscles. Inhale, peel the chest open. Lengthen forwards into a bit of a back bend here. Glutes are engaged. Draw the hands back. Find your W arms. Hands above the elbows. Sweep them back by the hips. Butterfly to the front. W arms. Sweep them back. Butterfly to the front. But two more like that. Try to keep the hands up above your elbows. Squeezing that bottom tip of your shoulder blade into the back. Release. You can give your hips a little sway side to side. And then we'll press back through a puppy pose and up and back to downward facing dog. Push the floor away. Shoulder blades move to the ears. Bend the knees, look to the hands, stepping the left foot forward, come down onto the right knee. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Hold the right wrist, lift it up, take it over to the left. Firm the belly in. Puff up those lower back ribs. Inhale as you come back to center, release the wrist, rotate through the shoulder, bend the elbow, send the hand down the back. Firm the back of the head into the arm. My shoulder feels totally different on this side. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. I wonder what's going on in either shoulder that's making it feel so different left to right. And then let's release that. Exhale, take the hands down to the floor or the blocks, tuck your back toes under, straighten out your back leg. Draw the thigh bones into the hip sockets. Inhale, peel that left arm up, and then we make a big full circle. Reach and rotate. Reach and rotate. And then switch directions. And then let's take the hands down to the floor. Step back, downward dog. Inhale, come forwards towards plank and pause. Now, either from the toes or again, you can take the knees to the floor. We're going to try to puff up the space between the shoulder blades and then bring the shoulder blades together. Now, make sure you're in your plank. You're tucking your tailbone. You're scooping the belly in, reaching back through the heels. And then you're doing this movement with the shoulder blades. Good. Wherever you are, lift the hips up and back to downward dog or puppy pose. And then let's inhale, come forwards to plank and pause from the toes or the knees, slowly lower. Pointing the toes, squeeze the butt. Inhale into a baby cobra. Hover the hands off the floor. Squeeze the elbows in. Draw the hands back. And then you can take the hands to the floor. Pull yourself through your arms any amount to a higher cobra or upward dog. And then we'll take the knees down. Tuck the toes under. Lift up and back, downward dog. Let's lift the right leg up and back. Bend the right knee into the chest. Circle that right hip around a couple times in either direction. And then switching directions. Good. Straighten that right leg. Lift it up and back. Take the right foot down. Lift the left leg up and back. Bend the left knee in. Circle the left hip a couple times in either direction. Good. Straighten out that left leg. Take it down. Bend the knees, look to the hands. Step walker, float the feet forwards. Inhale and lengthen neutral spine. Exhale and fold. Inhale, coming all the way up to standing. Arms lift, chest lifts, lengthen, look up. And exhaling, samastitihi, equal standing pose. Let's close the eyes here for a moment. Soften into the body. Allowing ourselves to be as we are. To be with what is. Softening whatever stories we have about the present moment. Exhale, release the arms, open the eyes. Inhale, float the arms up. Exhale, hinge and fold. Inhale, lengthen chest open. Exhale, stepping back. Downward dog, plank, or a vinyasa of your choice. Meeting in downward dog. We're going to pause there. Push the hands into the floor. Shoulder blades move to the ears. Bend your knees any amount. Draw the top of the thigh bone back and the top of the shin bone just below the knee forwards. Draw your lower ribs into the back of the body. One more breath here. We're going to exhale, bend the knees, look to the hands, step, walk, or float forwards. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale and fold. Inhale, coming all the way up to standing, arms lift, chest lifts, lengthen, look up. Exhaling, samastitihi, arms by the sides. Inhale, bend the knees, sit low, come into Utkatasana. Exhale as you hinge and fold. Inhale, lengthen, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, stepping back, downward dog, plank, or a vinyasa of your choice. Meeting in downward dog. Lifting the left leg up and back. Step the left foot forwards, behind the left thumb. Inhale, sweep the arms up, high lunge. Good, we're going to interlock the fingers, take the hands behind the head, squeeze the elbows in, lift the elbows up towards the ceiling, draw the shoulder blades into the back. Exhale, release the arms. Exhale, take the hands down to the floor, stepping back. Downward dog or vinyasa of your choice. Meeting in downward dog. Lifting the left leg up and back. Step the left foot forwards through the hand. Inhale, arms lift. Interlock the fingers the way that feels a bit awkward. Take the hands behind the head. Squeeze the elbows in. Lift the elbows up. Firm the shoulder blades into the back. Go ahead, straighten out the arms. Take the hands down to the floor. Step back, downward dog. Plank or vinyasa, your choice. Meeting in downward dog. We're going to come down onto the knees. Sit back for a moment into a low kneel. We're going to set the arms up on the floor in this position. Interlock the fingers. Place your elbows on the floor, shoulder distance apart. I like to tuck my baby finger into my palms, and then I make my wrist really strong. Squeeze those together. Press down into the floor. And then in this position, we're going to take the crown of the head to the floor. Tuck the toes under, lift the hips up, and then push into the forearms and try to get the head off the floor. Push into the forearms, head off the floor. Knees can be bent a lot, a little. The neck is relaxed. The forearms are pushing into the floor. The shoulder blades are moving to the ears. Couple more breaths there. Good. Let's slowly release. You can either take the knees down to the floor to come back to downward dog, or if you can do it without taking the knees down, that's fine as well. Your choice. So we're in a slightly shorter downward dog now. We're going to take a couple bounces here. Double knee bounce, pausing, looking forward to the hands. Lift the hips, press up and back. Double knee bounce. Lift the hips, press back. Good. This time, if you want to add that little hop at the end of the double knee bounce, you can. If you're doing the hop, you keep the gaze forwards in between your hands the whole time. All right, we're going to step walk or float to the front. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, bend the knees, sit low, arms lift. Utkatasana. Press through the heels, stand up, samastitihi. Good, let's close the eyes for a moment. Soften into the breath right now, right here. This is your life happening now. Exhale, release the arms, open the eyes. Inhale, bend the knees, sit low, Utkatasana. Exhale, hinge and fold. Inhale, lengthen Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, stepping back, downward dog plank or vinyasa of your choice. Meeting in downward dog, we're going to lift right leg up and back, step the right foot forwards. Inhale, high lunge. Interlock the fingers, press the palms of the hands up towards the ceiling. Now really commit your right leg to stay where it is. We're going to open up. So as you open up the hips, don't let that right knee fall in. Okay, you're going to almost like you're pushing that right knee towards the baby toe side of the mat. And as you push that knee to the side, you open up your hips, take that left heel to the floor. Push up through the palms of the hands and then release. The arms come into Virabhadrasana B, shoulders above the hips. See if you can bend your knee a little deeper, draw the thigh bone in a little more. Head straighten the front leg, lift the arms up. Hinge from the hips. Drop that right hip back, left hip wraps forwards. Reach for the front of the mat. Fingertips find the shin, the foot, or the thigh. Rotate through the rib cage. And then let's take our left hand behind our head, and as if somebody's trying to pull our elbow behind us. Open up that left armpit or side of the chest. And then we're going to exhale, look down towards the floor, come to the toes of that back foot. We're going to step the right foot to the middle of the mat. We're going to take the left forearm to the floor, shift into a side forearm plank. So stacking the right hip above the left, either staying here in the half plank, or if it feels appropriate for you, you can stack that right foot on top of the left. Breathing here, push the floor away. All right, exhale. Take that right hand down to the floor. Come onto both forearms. You can interlock the fingers, elbows, shoulder distance apart. Push the floor away, puff up the space between the shoulder blades, scoop the belly, lengthen the tailbone back. And then let's walk the feet in, come towards more of a dolphin pose. Oh, that's hard. Whew, good work. All right, either from this position, moving into downward dog, or coming down to the knees and repositioning for downward dog. Walk your feet back a little bit because usually dolphin ends up a bit shorter than downward dog. Push the hands into the floor. Let's lift the left leg up and back. Step that left foot forwards behind the left thumb. Inhale, sweep the arms up, high lunge. Interlock the fingers the opposite way. Press the palms of the hands up towards the ceiling. Now send that left knee towards the outer edge of the mat. So commit that leg to stay there as you open up that right hip and take that right heel to the floor. And then open up the torso to face the side wall. Release the interlock the fingers, press the arms down. Virabhadrasana B. Go ahead, breathing here. See if you can bend the knee a tiny bit deeper. Draw the thigh bone in a tiny bit more. You got this. Rotate the palms to face up. Straighten the front leg, lift the arms up. Reach up for the ceiling. Drop that left hip back. Reach for the front of the mat. Fingertips to the shin, the thigh, the foot. Rotate through the rib cage. And then right hand behind the head. And then like somebody's pulling the elbow back. Opening up that right armpit or right side of the chest, any amount. And then let's exhale. Take the hand down to the floor, come to the toes of the back foot. Step the left foot to the middle of the mat. Take that right forearm to the floor. Shift into that half forearm plank. And then either staying here or stepping the left foot on top of the right. Be here. Push that forearm into the floor. Feel the shoulder blades strong on the back body. Exhale, take the hands, forearms down, interlock the fingers, forearm plank, set it up, and then walk the feet in, but not all the way for a dolphin. Press back, lift the hips, come to that slightly longer dolphin, And then inhale, come forwards, chest towards the hands. And then press the forearms into the floor, lift the hips up and back. Good, let's do this a couple more times. This is challenging. Feel free to come down, take the knees to the floor, take a little rest if you want, and then come back. Scoop the belly in. Try not to collapse in between the shoulder blades or into the lower back. Last one here. Whew, good job. All right, let's make our way back to downward dog. Press the hands into the floor. Bend the knees, look to the hands, step, walk, or float through. Sitting. Oh, my shoulders are getting tired. All right, let's take the legs out in front of us. Can feel free to come and sit up on a blanket if you'd like. Feet can be hip distance apart or all the way together or a little open, a little wider, whatever feels better for you. We're going to take the fingertips behind us. Press the fingertips into the floor to try to come towards the front edge of your sitting bones. And if you need to sit up on some higher height, please do. So we want to feel like the sacrum, that flat triangular bone, is tipped forward slightly. Good. Try to stay here. We're going to inhale, lift the arms up and over the head. Interlock the hands, take the hands behind the head, firm the elbows in, press into the back, lift the hips, lift the elbows, any amount. And then releasing that, lift the arms straight up towards the ceiling, and exhale. Release hands down by the sides. Good. We're going to make our way down onto our backs now. Have your blankets close by. Have your blanket and one block close by. Bend your knees, plant your feet flat on the floor. Bend your elbows. Press your elbows flat on the floor. Press the elbows into the floor. Exhale. Pelvic floor, deep abdominals, glutes engage. Squeeze the butt. Lift the hips. Release the arms. Walk the shoulders a little closer to each other. And then if it feels appropriate for you to interlock the fingers, you go ahead and interlock the fingers. Press the arms down into the floor. Imagine you're squeezing your block in between your thighs. Breathe there. Two more breaths. Release the hands. Come back down. Hands on the belly. Soften. Good. All right, we're going to do one more time. This time, take the hips up. Place the block on the lowest or the middle height underneath your sacrum. Make sure you feel stable there. Walk the shoulders in any amount. Take the hands down to the floor. Pause there. So a little bit of a passive back bend here. And then let's bring one knee towards the chest and pause. Take the second knee towards the chest and pause. And then any amount, straighten the legs up towards the ceiling. Knees can be bent a lot or a little, whatever feels good in your body. Let your thigh bones be heavy into your hip sockets. And bend your knees in towards your chest. Pause there for a breath. One foot to the floor. And then the other. Lift the hips up off the block. Put the block to the side. Take the hips back down to the floor. Relax. Open your feet wide. Windshield wiper the legs side to side. Let's come back to center. Take the right arm across the chest. You can hold that right arm above or below the elbow. Just draw it across. And then at the same time, you're going to resist, let the shoulder fall towards the floor. Let's switch sides. Taking the left arm across the body. Microphone's in the way. And then let that left shoulder fall back towards the floor. Good. Let's take another breath or so there. Slowly release the arms. Take your blanket for under your head. Hug your knees into your chest. Give yourself a nice little rock side to side. Maybe coming into a happy baby. And then slowly, when you're ready, we'll start to straighten the legs out on the floor. Take the hands down by the sides. Let's take a breath in through the nose. Exhale and release side out. Again, inhale. One more. And giving yourself the permission to just be here, doing nothing, just absorbing the benefits of your practice. Soften the belly and let the body be heavy. In a moment, I'm going to stop the recording, but I do encourage you to stay here a little longer today if your life will allow, absorbing the benefits of your practice. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. Sending the benefits of our practice out to all the beings in the world. May all beings everywhere be happy and free. Namaste.